Lawmakers in Kansas have passed a measure that, if approved by voters, would amend the state constitution to exclude the right to an abortion. The Value Them Both amendment also would reserve the right to regulate abortion in the state legislature. The proposal would be voted on during a primary election in August 2022. And in Montana, the House Judiciary Committee there has advanced a bill that would ban the coverage of abortion procedures by health insurance plans offered through the state exchange. Joining me now on Skype to talk more about the bill and its significance is Matthew Brower, Executive Director of the Montana Catholic Conference. Matthew, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it. Matthew, specifically, what will this bill do and why is it so important?
Well, this bill is important because what it's going to seek to do is ban coverage for elective abortions in those health insurance plans that are offered on our exchange. So that's following the lead of about 26 other states that to varying degrees have done the same thing. And so with really narrow exceptions, this is going to prevent coverage for abortion in those plans offered on our exchange.
And I understand that this bill is similar to one that was passed back in 2011. However, that one was vetoed by the Democratic governor at the time. What happens next to this current measure? And is there any indication how the current governor, who is a Republican, may be leaning?
Well, it was actually just voted on within the last half hour, and it was debated on our House floor. It passed on what we call second reading, 66-34 today. It'll be voted again on the House floor tomorrow. If it passes there, it'll move on to the Senate, where we think the chances are very good that it'll pass the Senate, make it on to the governor's desk. And while he hasn't specifically discussed this piece of legislation, we're fairly confident that he's going to sign it. And this will be a real victory for pro-life advocates in Montana as a way of protecting our conscience. So we think this is a very important and good piece of legislation.
Absolutely. So encouraging. What other pro-life legislation is being considered there in Montana?
Sure. We've got a number of pro-life bills actually working our way through the legislature this session. 4 of them up for hearing this week alone related to the issue of abortion. We've got a pain-capable bill banning abortions at the point that an unborn child can feel pain. We've got a Born Alive Protection Act that'll be heard this week. We've got a bill addressing the risks involved with chemical abortions. But perhaps I think the most exciting piece of legislation related to beginning of life issues is a bill surrounding ultrasounds. And it will require, if it passes and ends up signed into law, it'll require abortion providers to simply offer pregnant women the opportunity to view an ultrasound and listen to a fetal heart tone. We think this is common sense legislation. It's really going to make a difference in the lives of not only those unborn children, but those mothers who instead choose life. So we're excited about that piece of legislation, along with some things addressing the death penalty.
Well, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all that with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Again, Matthew Brower, Executive Director of the Montana Catholic Conference.
Thank you for having me.